All right, here we are focusing on learning target number 1, the idea of continental drift. So the name is pretty self-explanatory when we think about how continents have moved over time. The idea here with this theory is that the land pieces moved. And so what we noticed from doing our map activity is how they moved over time, right? The idea that throughout time, the land or the continents have drifted apart or separated. And they've all separated from their original landmass, which we can see in this picture, and that was known as Pangea. And that actually means all land. And the idea here is that they started together and separated over time. And when we did our mapping activity, you were able to do that or kind of think about those ideas, thinking about evidence used. So the evidence we used was the fossil and rock detail found on the continents. And what we did is we reconnected those, right? We know that rocks and fossils, if they're exactly alike, they had to form together at one point in time. So that clued us in that everything was connected and has slowly worked to get to the point where we see it today. The other evidence that a lot of you used but maybe didn't think about that you were using it was just the shape of the coastlines. The idea that the edges are similar and can be matched up is also another evidence or clue. So that leaves us with this. Well, what's missing? Why haven't we finalized our thinking with this idea of continental drift? It's because we didn't have enough information to explain how the continents actually moved. There wasn't enough detail to explain how they moved. Our scientist with this idea, Alfred Wegener, simply thought that the continents drifted over the ocean like a boat would. And we know that's not quite the case. So we needed more detail, more data about how the continents moved. So when you think about your learning target 1, we want to explain these things in our own words. We want to explain the locations of the continents, how they've changed over time. So you're kind of thinking about the before, right? The Pangea to the after, what we see now. Describe the motion that has existed over time, just like we did in our mapping activity. We want to say the evidence that supports that idea, right? So how have they changed over time and what evidence have we had? So you've got a couple keywords to use as you work on your summary. Filling in your summary here, reminder, it should be full sentences. It should use all the keywords, and those keywords must be highlighted as you write it out. So again, make sure you put all the detail in here, kind of 2 big ideas that we just outlined on that previous slide.